Good evening. For those you're expecting to see Mr. David Dawn and Keith Herbert tonight, tough. You've got me and him. Yeah, Dave's down in that there London, probably having a bit of a knees up, I'd imagine. I think. Oh, an elbow up. Right, gotcha. So yeah, you're putting on us tonight, I'm afraid. So right, we're not going to start until we see 40 people in chat. Come on.
Oh dear. You're a long way.
Come on. I'll give you another 30 seconds. In the meantime,
Tech UK says bye. What's all that about?
I don't know.
Another couple of Herbert says DJ Reptile. So if you're logged into chat, ban him.
Let me have the ban.
I've got a top pocket. Look, I've got a top pocket, so I'm playing the part of Keith.
Oh yeah, we did say that on Monday. You're playing the part of Keith tonight, didn't we? I completely forgot about that.
Yeah. You should have whited your beard out with some trainer whitener.
I'm getting there without it, to be honest.
Yeah. I could have shaved my head and polished it with some Duraglit.
No.
On Monday.
No.
Brasso.
Right, we have over 40 in chat. You may now start your show.
That's good.
We shall now proceed. So, coming up tonight then, will be revealed in this trailer.
Coming up tonight on Vapor Trials TV, Matt Garrish looks at the Indestructible mod. Marco looked at some of the juice range from the Doozy Vape Co. Matt Garrish starts a tutorial on all things coiling related, following a request from the viewer. And we'll look at the news from around the world. All this and more tonight on Vapor Trials TV.
And we're back, and we've got a last minute edition. Say hello, Mr. Dawn.
Hello, Mr. Dawn. How is everybody? All right?
Yeah, we're fine. Where are you? What are you doing?
Well, at the moment I'm sat outside King Cross Station in that there London, having been to listen to Jerry Stimson's really rather good lecture this afternoon, now that he's been made a freeman of the city. And we've had one or two libations in his honour, together with a few other people, and I'm going to get on the 9 o'clock train and go home.
Ah. So you're going to be joining us all the way on the train, are you?
No, having checked the signal on the way down, I don't think that's a goer somehow.
Good day though, was it?
Yes, very good day.
Excellent.
Extremely good lecture. Lots of really interesting people to talk to. All good. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Superb.
Excellent. Well, we'll keep you on as long as you wish to remain on here.
Well, I'm going to have to go very shortly because they'll be calling the train. But I just thought I'd call in and say hello and to say a big thank you to everybody for doing Thursday night for me.
You're most welcome,
stars.
Mr. D.
What a superb team.
Right then, well, we'll crack on, and we'll catch you later, Dave.
Okay, thanks very much. See you
All right,
later.
ta-da.
Bye, Dave.
Bye.
There we go. That was an unexpected entry by Mr. Dawn. Oh, I didn't say that out loud, did I?
Yeah. Not the first time. It's probably not the first time that's ever happened, to be fair.
No. Okay, that's kind of derailed us a bit, isn't it?
Nah.
What?
It's all good.
Mark, help me out. What are we doing?
Well, the next item on our schedule, what I sent you earlier, is the news section.
And here we go with the first story, and this is from Kent Online, and it's in Maidstone. Councillors complain about new e-cigarette shop in Tunbridge Road. The devil's in the detail, but you might need a new pair of specs if you've missed the last infernal addition to one of Maidstone's busiest junctions. A lurid red sign depicting a demon has appeared in Tunbridge Road to promote Totally Wicked, the town's newest e-cigarette shop. Yet despite only opening on Saturday, the store already raised eyebrows and has some local councillors seeing red. Now, this used to be a laundrette because I've looked on Street Maps, on Google Maps, and this used to be a laundrette, but it's been taken over and now it's an e-cigarette shop. I really can't see what all the fuss is about. Let's go on. Councillor Faye Gooch, who's independent, has complained to Maidstone Borough Council on the grounds the grinning devil is unpleasant and could pose a distraction for drivers. And Councillor Stephen Payne, Conservative, agreed, adding, "I know nothing about the proposal until the signage went up this week." I mean, that's what it looks like. Come on, we all know what Totally Wicked looks like. And there are hundreds of these all over the country. So why these people? I wonder if they're smokers or if they're just antis. Now, I mean, look, you can drive down the street, you see huge billboards of cars, of women, of new movies that are coming out. I'm pretty sure that when the billboards went up for the new Star Wars movie or the new Superman movie, that people were distracted because they caught sight of those. I've never caught sight of a Totally Wicked shop and thought, oh, I'm going to be distracted. I mean, what are they thinking? Anyway, there's a vote on here, so the paper is asking, is the sign distasteful? Well, I'm going to say no, because I don't think it is. Let's see what everyone else says. Oh, well, there you go. 1,963 votes say no, 415 say yes, and 145 say to some extent. So listen to the people is what I would say to both Councillor Faye Gooch and Councillor Stephen Payne. You may not like it, but, you know, it's the people. Why don't you go knock on every single door in Tunbridge and see how many people tell you to stop wasting your time trying to get mileage out of a sign that's got a funny picture of a red devil. Anyway, let's see what else has been said. At one of the busiest junctions in the borough, nothing says welcome to Maidstone quite like a grinning, vaped out picture of the devil out overlooking us all. I mean, come on. Maidstone, I mean, is it a really fantastic place? I'll tell you who the person to ask, and that is our good friend and my colleague on this show, Mr. Matt Gerrish, who comes from Maidstone. So after this little bulletin, we're going to speak to Matt. Yes. Anyway, I've had enough of this story now. The link will be available to you in chat, so you can look at it in its entirety. Let's move on. Now, this is another one from They Work For You. And this is in relation to smoking, but eventually it will become in vaping. And Alex Cunningham, who is the Shadow Minister, Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, asked the Secretary of State for Health when he expects effective processes to be in place to allow the issuing of fixed penalty notices to people who are smoking in cars when children are present. Here's another one. Another fun police person. Jane Ellison says, local authorities can issue fixed penalty notices for offences related to smoking in private vehicles carrying children. The police can use the traffic offender report to pass information to local authorities who can issue the fixed penalty notice and collect the fines. Guidance on this process has been sent to police forces. The police and local authorities can also collaborate on enforcement action, for example, when carrying out local road safety operations, when the local authority can take enforcement action as appropriate. As far as I know, there has been no fixed penalties issued in the UK for people smoking in cars with children present. Now, I don't particularly agree with it. You know, let's be clear here. I don't agree with smoking in the car when you've got your kids. But, you know, that's my personal view. Whether or not that should be a legal offence is another matter, don't you think? And I've got another one from They Work For You. And this question comes from Robert Symes, or Robert Sims, who's Conservative MP for Poole. And he asked the Secretary of State for Health what the cumulative loss in revenue to HM Treasury has been as a result of the effect of the tobacco control measures over the last 10 years. And then he followed it up with what estimate has he made of the potential reduction in revenue to the public purse resulting from the EU Tobacco Products directive. And Jane Ellison has replied, the department assesses the impact of all proposed measures before laying legislation using standard government methodology. These assessments are set out in the impact assessments, which are scrutinised by the Regulatory Policy Committee before publication alongside the statutory instrument. Impact assessments include a thorough analysis of the costs, benefits and risks associated with policy options. A number of the tobacco measures contain commitments to further review the impact of the legislation within 5 years of then coming into force. So in other words, they're not rightly sure how much it's going to impact the public purse from the lack of revenue. Maybe they're going to get caught unawares, a bit like California and other states in the US that started to look on the fact that they weren't getting as much in the way of money from tobacco. But there you go. Anyway, let's move on to another story. And what I have here are some pictures from Ontario, Canada. David Sweener was at the local event where people were demonstrating against the measures. And I've got a bit of a podcast that was also broadcast, and we'll give you the link for the entire thing because it is about 30 minutes long. So we'll give you a link for that. But for the moment, that was the news.
And there we go. Yes, a few little stories there. And just going back to the first one about the Totally Wicked shop, I did mention in that piece of VT that the council should knock on the doors of Tunbridge or Tonbridge. I did mean Maidstone, but it was the Tonbridge Road bit. Matt very nicely pointed that out to me. And there's a bit more to that story, and we'll put the link into chat. If someone's got the link, or it'll go onto the YouTube page underneath the Tonight Show. But yes, now my counterpart, Mr. Matt Gerrish, is from sunny Maidstone. So Matt, what do you think as a Maidstone person?
As a Maidstone person, I think really they should just find something bloody better to moan about. They're on about is the busiest junction, one of the busiest junctions in the town. It's at least 2 miles out of the town centre. I just don't know. Yeah, but I mean, I'd just point out, Maidstone is known for its follies. Like, for example, in the early 90s, they erected this giant floral sheep.
Erected what? I missed that. I turned the volume down slightly on my headset.
A giant floral sheep.
Oh, okay.
If you actually go on Google and search for Maidstone sheep, you'll see it. This thing was probably about 20 foot high, and it's just massive. And then they have the audacity to moan about a shop signage when they construct eyesores like that. It's, yeah. There's a reason I don't live in Maidstone anymore. I spent over 30 years there.
Yeah,
that kind of says
it's probably
it, really.
a bit longer than you needed to, really.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said in that VT, I can't quite fathom it out. I don't know what their mass objections are, whether it's just that they're anti, or just that they're smokers, or just that they're anti. But anyway, and then the other two stories, of course, on their work for you. You know, I get the updates. I thought I'd throw those two in there as well, in relation to one of the MPs asking when they're going to start enforcing these fines. The police have got so much to do, and they won't be able to just pass in, see if a child is under the age of 18, because obviously when a child is 18, they're no longer a child, they're an adult. So if you've got a 20-year-old that looks 12, does happen, or vice versa, how are they going to do that? Are they going to stop everyone that looks like they may have somebody under the age of 18 in the car and someone else is smoking? Or what if that person is smoking as well? What if it's the underage person that's smoking? Are they going to do them twice? I don't know. Yes, it's a bit bonkers.
I'll tell you what's going to happen there. It's got the same thing's going to happen as happened with buying booze in this around here. You know, it used to be you couldn't buy alcohol unless you're 18, yes? and you still can't. Yeah, but now it used to be if you look under 21, we might ID. Now it's if you look under 25. In other words, we can't tell how old you are, and you've probably got a fake ID anyway, so we're just going to make it up as we go along.
Yeah, but that's not a legal requirement. That's the shops doing it to cover themselves.
But what I'm getting at is that you might be driving past, you might be having an e-cig or a smoke or whatever in your car, and you've got someone in the back, and the police can't positively identify if they're underage or whatever. So it's just not workable, is it? Really, it really isn't. No. Which is why, from what I know so far, there hasn't been any issued. So yeah, it's crazy. They're going to spend so much money trying to enforce something that's unenforceable. It's just going to be crazy. You carry on. I'll have a look in chat and see what they're saying. I was about to say, actually, I do know of one case in Wales, someone who was actually fined, and I've been trying to get hold of this person to have a chat with him. But basically, he got fined for smoking in a car with a minor presence. Now, he says he was using an e-cig, and I've got no reason to believe he isn't. It was second-hand information I got here, but so I'm aware of someone that has been fined, and I've been trying to get hold of him to have a chat with him. But so far, no luck on that, I'm afraid.
Oh, well, we'll see what we can do there, eh? See if we can get a hold of the person. And I'm just looking in chat. There was something here about drinking of e-liquid. Yes.
I mean, I'm going to jump in just a second there. It makes you think, are we going to get to the stage that you're going to have printed on the back of your car the date of birth of yourself and all your children? It is just ridiculous. It really is just ridiculous.
So what you're saying is you have the prerequisite child on board on the back of your car with their date of birth in it?
Yes. I mean, it's getting to that stage, isn't it?
Pretty much, yeah. In fact, just put a QR code on every single panel of the car with all the information on. They come along with their phone and scan it.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah.
That's what we're coming to.
Yeah.
Absolutely pathetic. Right, I'll be quiet again.
As Bob Pearson has just pointed out in chat, there aren't any miners left in Wales. There's not many miners left in Yorkshire either, because they keep closing all the pits, even though there is gazillions of tons of coal underneath there. We can't compete with the importation from overseas because they can produce it far cheaper than we can and ship it all across the world to this country where we use it when we've got our own resources, which I find is just totally ridiculous. And I'd like to say rant over on that one.
Is that a topic close to your heart there, Mark?
Well, I just believe, we're going to go kind of off e-cig point for a minute here, but they closed the pits down, and there was a big one closed very recently, and they've just finished off cementing the cap, so now no one can get into it at all. They've cut the steel ropes down the shaft, and they've cemented it all up. There's something like 300 million tons of coal underneath there, but the power station, which is just down the road, can buy coal cheaper from China. And then we look at our British steel industry, which is no longer a British steel industry because we've sold it on to overseas companies, and now they're selling it on to another overseas company. And we created steel in this country, and we now have a flagging industry because it's cheaper to buy steel from China and ship it all across from there. It's just shocking. It's disgraceful is what it is. It is, and it really irks me. All the things that we used to do, we no longer have that because it's been sold on to overseas companies. Yes. Anyway, there you go.
Yeah. Okay. So let's move on from the news, shall we? And
yes.
Should we look at a bit of hardware?
Go on then.
Yeah. It's another dripper, people. So mouth to lungers, you're not going to like this, but there we go. Good evening, and you join me again looking at another dripper. There's a fair few drippers this month, isn't there, so far? This one we're concerning ourselves with is the Wismec Indestructible. So is it indestructible or is it a turkey? I have no idea. Anyway, that's do the usual thing and go down there and have a look, and then we come back up here and I'll vape it. You know how it goes, yeah? Right, see you in a second. So then, here is the Indestructible by Wismec. No, there, Matt. There's Wismec. Learn your left and right. Doesn't help that the camera's wrong way up, but never mind. So, we have a little case. You know, the sort of thing you'll get some sort of cheap jewellery in. It's at the bottom as well, shall we? It is Indestructible, apparently. Standard configuration. We have top cap, mouthpieces, airflow, washers, airflow base. Stuff. You know how it goes, yeah. So that's the Atomanusa right there. And do we get any bits and bobs in here? Let's see, shall we? We get a bit of cardboard, which is going to list up my desk for weeks, unless I remember to put it in the bin. And we get some fiddly foam. There we go. We get a little bag with O-rings and screws. No screwdriver. Look at that. Different, isn't it? No blue screwdriver. Points down for that straight away, honestly. So there we go. Let's pop that in there. So here we are then. I need something in order to facilitate taking this off, don't I? So let's use a mod. We need to look at the deck because that's the important thing. Oh, hang on. There we are. Right. Tighter than I anticipated. So then, what have we got here? We've got, well, sort of 4 posts, 3 sort of, well, you know it goes, right? We've got 4 holes. So, we've got 2 positive holes here. Let's put it this way up so you can see better. It's upside down to me, but it's right way up for you. So 2 holes here. And then we got these sort of side-on clip affairs here, look. Which looks interesting, doesn't it? You can sort of slide your wire in, so that'll mean you can use some thicker wire. Now, what is particularly annoying, I don't know if you're going to make this out in a video, but these 2 are Allen keys and these 2 are Phillips screws. Why have a difference? That's just silly. Very silly indeed. Now, is this an adjustable post? He says, looking for a screwdriver. Let's just demonstrate if this is adjustable or not. Well, this unscrews. However, that comes with it. So, not really adjustable. Because if you slacken that off, you're going to slacken off your positive post as well. So that's that. Let's have a look at the top cap and chamber, shall we? So this will unscrew, and what we got here, we got many little holes that I presume is to facilitate airflow, as you can see here. And on this side we got an adjustment there for more airflow options. So if I take this off, you can see fully down there. So we've got 8 holes, 4 a side here. So what we can do with this ring, we can pop this ring on here, and then we can adjust these holes, or you can close them all off if you like. Yeah, like so. And then you'll just screw your mouthpiece down, like so. So that's nice. It's got options there. Let's take that off, and then we've got our traditional sort of airflow here. Now we've got, well, we've got 3 holes here, we've got 3 holes here, and you'll note that one's bigger. Another 3 holes here, and then that's it. We've got nothing on this side. We just got the you know, the Jabo logo there. So let's just pop that out. There we go. So we got all these options, but you got no way of closing off these air holes. So the way you'll have to do it really is by lining these up as you see fit. See, what will happen is that the edges here will block off, say two sets of these, like so. So for example, if I wanted a single coil setup, you know, just coils on this side, I would probably go this way round. So all I've got then is these 3 holes here, but I've got no way of closing these 3 holes off further. It'd be nice to have some sort of inner sleeve there, you know, like most drippers do have. It's not particularly you know, the best design, I think, but yeah, it seems to work. Yeah, so so I could, for example, if I block this side off here like that, then I've got airflow there and airflow there, but I've still got, I've got 6 holes open. I've got no way of closing those off, unfortunately. All I can do is add airflow. I cannot subtract any more than that. But there we go. So what we should do then, really, we should get a build in this, and as I always do, because I'm sure you guys don't particularly want to see me fiddling around with a build, at this point I'm going to put a jump cut in, so expect things to suddenly move as they do. Here we are then, one build. So I told you things would suddenly appear, didn't I? Yeah, it's a fiddly build, but a build nonetheless. So I'm thinking, let's get this juice up. Oh, by the way, I actually used nickel on this, so it's 0.35mm tempered nickel. So let's get this all juiced up. Actually, before we do that, let's decide what we're going to do with our airflow. So I think for the purposes of testing, we'll have this fully open, like so. And we'll see how that goes, and then we'll adjust on the fly if required. Yeah, we'll do that. So let's have that fully open. There, well done. And we'll see how that goes. So see you in a mo. So here we are then, and it is all fully built. Now as we start the video, because I gave it a little sneak preview, I popped this on top of the Rolo, or the relay, or whatever the hell you want to call it, the RX200 jobby. So yeah, I mean, simply because it's a Jabo thing and the logos all line up nicely, and it's nice, isn't it? Yeah, we like that. Let's give it a go then. Is very, very nice. So I'm going to actually just top this up a little bit, because I have been vaping on it before I recorded this segment, because it wouldn't do really, would it, to just go straight from the close-up video and find out you've got a crap build. So we have to test these things. The juice I'm using is Bad Blood by Bad Drip. Lots of smiley faces on it. An interesting bottle. It comes interestingly packaged, actually. I'm not going to do a juice review, but this is different enough for me to have a look at. Comes in this sort of plastic container with various logos, and I have absolutely no idea what the VG/PG is on this. I suspect it's pretty much entirely VG, simply because it's designed for dripping. There's an awful lot of info on here, but actually not what I'm after. Comes with this little cap, and it's all childproof and lovely. Apparently we should have a bad day and suck on this. Also comes with this cloth, which perplexes me. I'm not entirely sure why they include the cloth. Maybe just not mop up your spills, or perhaps wear as a little hat. Yeah. Let's see if they can. No, we're not going to carry on with that. So it's interestingly packaged. It's a nice juice. So let's give it another go. It is good. So now let's have a. Oh, actually, before we have a play of the airflow, let's concern ourselves with what we're running this at. So as we saw, I'm using nickel wire. It is now reading at 0.06 ohms. I've got it set to 100 watts, the starting wattage, and 570 degrees Fahrenheit, because that is my preferred temperature. It's very good, actually. I'm quite happy with this. Anyway, airflow. Stay on track. As we saw in the close-up, there's no way of adjusting the airflow at the sides. You either have all 6 airflow holes here, or you put it in single coil mode and have these 3, one of which is slightly bigger. But actually, I just realised I've got one of them slightly open, so let's pop this off. He says without taking a drip tip off, or mouthpiece, or whatever you want to bloody call it. That's better, right? So I'll just have another go, because why not? Yeah, I could keep doing this. Yeah. So let's adjust the top airflow thingamajig. Now what we've got there so far, as we saw in a close-up, I've got it fully open. So I'm going to adjust this now. We have 4 holes on each side, so a total of 8 holes. I'm going to close them right off. And we'll see how it goes. It's a much warmer vape when they're off. Airflow wise, I'm not detecting a massive difference. It's just more about the temperature. And it's nice. It's nice, really quite nice and warm. So now what I'm going to do, if you can still see me, because I'm starting to cloud the place up a little bit, is I'm going to put these 2 open on each side, so 4 holes in total. I think that's kind of a sweet spot for me. Yeah, I like that. It's cooled the vape down ever so slightly, and it's still giving me plenty of flavour. Yeah, so let's just top this up a bit. It does seem to get through the juice pretty quick, to be honest. It's quite a thirsty little laddie. There we go. So let's talk pros and cons then. Actually, let's talk price first. Now I picked this up from my local bricks and mortar shop. It's not an expensive Atty. Looking online, oh, sorry, I've got a bit of hiccups going on there. Looking online, you can pick it up for around about 30 quid, which is close to what I paid for it. So it's not expensive. You know, for a non-clone atomizer, it's pretty much the going rate these days, unless you're spending massive money on really exclusive items or something. You know, it's a good price. Cons then: the fact that you need 2 separate devices, neither of which are supplied in the box to actually build this thing. You need 1 Allen key and you need 1 Phillips head screwdriver. Now I had to hunt around for an Allen key that would fit this. I've got a lot of Allen keys, you know, I've got a lot of atomizers over the years, so I've got down there, you can't really see, but I've got a drawer full of the bloody things. And yeah, it's fiddly to build because you have to have access to two tools. You know, I prefer to hold the coil in place and then tighten it up and then tighten it up as you go. But no, you've got to tighten it up with the Phillips head screw, and then you've got to put that down, and you've got to pick up the Allen key, then you've got to tighten it. That's a pain in the arse. So it's fiddly in that respect to build. Any other respect is okay to build. It's not tricky or anything like that. It's quite straightforward. You've got nice decent size holes there. I'm probably going to stick a Clapson in here because I'm going Clapson crackers recently. So yeah, you've got decent size holes in which to put your wire, so that's good. The fact that you really can't adjust the airflow on the side chamber is a bit of a nitpick there. It turns out that I kind of don't need to, because I'm quite happy with the airflow on here. But some of you might prefer a tighter draw. Some of you might prefer an even area draw, in which case I suppose you can undo the rings at the top and it'll give you some more air, but it will also cool the vape down and this sort of thing. Yeah, it's one of those. The other issue is the mouthpiece. It is non-changeable. You are stuck with this. And I know, for example, Mark Crew, one of our guest reviewers, he prefers a plastic drip tip. So this atomizer straight away is out of the question for him. I have heard you can get aftermarket top caps for this, but I've not actually looked into that. But the guy down the shop, when I was down there, he said he's changed the top cap. So there's that. But you know, I kind of look at these things as what you get in the box, not what you can get afterwards. So that might be a deal breaker for some people. But on the plus side, the price, as I already mentioned, is a good price. It's not expensive. It vapes very, very well. You've got scope there for your builds. You know, you can get some thicker wire in there. I'm using 0.35mm nickel wire, as I already mentioned, because that's generally what I've got a lot of kicking around. But you could quite comfortably get a 0.5, maybe 0.7 millimeters in here quite easily. So there's that as well. One other thing I'm going to add to the cons list here at this point is this mouthpiece is starting to get pretty hot because it's entirely metal. There's no plastic anywhere in order to sort of dampen the heat any. So with continuous use, you're going to get a bit warm. On the plus side though, it's going to curb your vaping down a little bit if you ever so desire to curb your vaping down, which I don't. I want to vape more and more and more. So yeah, there's a pros and cons in that really. It is also available in black. I'm looking at the Wismec website. There's the black and then there's the silver version, which you're seeing in front of you here, the silver version. There's not really much else I can say about it other than I'm quite happy with the thing. It's providing me a decent vape. The airflow is as I like an airflow. It's not too airy. It's got some resistance to it. It's giving me decent flavour. It's producing the clouds. I mean, so far I've only been vaping at the camera, which is, you may have noticed, a different setup now. I've moved the room around a bit. So let's go to the side. Spinning on chair. That was a bit dry. I need to refill. I'm going to get carried away here. You know, I said earlier it's a thirsty yatty. It's a thirsty yatty. Now, why I do have temperature control on this, because I'm running at 570 degrees Fahrenheit, I can still get a burn hit. Oh, one other thing actually, refilling this is really easy. All you got to do is just pop this cap off here. That's all you have to do, and just drip your liquid in, pop it in. It doesn't matter which way around you pop this on. I suppose that's the plus side of not having to concern yourself with the air holes at the side. You do have the option of lining up these holes here with your coils, which is what I've been doing, like so. Yeah, as you can see, nice cloudage. Yeah, there's that. So I suppose actually now I mention this, these holes here, these 4 or 8 holes, you can, I suppose, adjust it even further by putting the holes away from the coil. So there we are. There's options there. There's plenty to play with. So I think then we'll conclude with the fact, yeah, I quite like it. It's all right. It's a dripper. It's not terrible. It's not the best dripper I've ever used for flavour. It's certainly up there in terms of vapour reduction, and it's certainly up there in terms of customability. Oh, I don't know. You can customise it a fair amount. If it's indeed true that you can get aftermarket top caps, you've got other options available to you as well, but I shan't be looking at those. But feel free to type into Google your stuff. I'm going to go now because I'm acutely aware that this room is fogging up a treat and you're not going to be seeing much more of me, which may be a good thing. Ta-ta. I am waving. Honest. There we are. Back to the studio. There we are. That was the Indestructible. This thing. I'm going to vape it again because you haven't seen enough of me vaping it. Now, I did actually record this before the show with Clapson coils, and I've just realised I've overfilled the thing. You pillock, Matt. Yeah, mucky.
Can't
there
get
we
the
are.
staff.
You can't, can you? No. That's the big thing with drippers, isn't it? You can easily overfill them.
Yes.
There we go. So I'm just going to go out on a limb here. I don't often talk to someone directly in chat. This is Ridian, and I'm talking about his cameras. But Lal, I'm going to go out on a limb and say pretty much anything I review you're not going to like, because I don't really tend to buy mouth to lung things. So do you think you're going to review anything that Lal likes, Mark?
Depends what comes up, really. I think hopefully there'll be some mouth to lung devices at Vapor Expo for us to have a look at. But you see, I can mouth to lung on any of my devices anyway, so it doesn't really bother me. So yeah, but it'd be nice to see some proper designed specifically for mouth to lung, so we can look at more. I know we had that VT from Dimmy, and then Dave had to look at it as well. Is it the AIO? Yes, but
it's the eternal debate, isn't it? It's the whole thing there now. All the products are coming out as direct to lung things. It's largely, I'd imagine, driven by market demand. I suppose. I can't give you an answer exactly why that is, but people are buying them, so they're going to keep making them, aren't they? That's simple, really.
Yeah. If the demand's there, they'll make them. What they're not thinking about really is the big picture. They're not thinking about future smokers who want to turn to vaping, because let's face it, sub-ohming is not really for the uninitiated.
No.
So there needs to be devices out there, and we saw a couple of those from last year, didn't we, from Atom, which were kind of entry-level sub-ohm. Go on, Sav.
The thing is, it's not a hard problem to solve, because I do both mouth to lung and direct to lung, and I can do it on the same tank. Just give a selection of coils.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just limit to the sub-ohm stuff. There's, the Triton, the original Triton tank, when that came out, you could have a 1.8 ohm, 1.4, 1.2, and then you went into the sub-ohm stuff. That solves that problem, because you can restrict your airflow with a good tank, so that you can get your setup. I use the Triton now on a 1.8 ohm coil when I'm driving, mainly because I want to be able to see where I'm going, and I find it's quite beneficial.
Actually, so, you say this now. What I do when I'm driving, I actually use a sub tank, but I've got it set up in such a way that it doesn't produce a silly amount of cloudage. It's still direct lung, because that's how I prefer to vape, but it doesn't produce silly amounts of cloudage. You could probably get away with mouth to lung in that device. And if I ever get the chance, Sav, I'll present it to you and see if you can. But yeah, sorry, carry on.
It just seems that has to be the solution. And I know there are some tanks out there that do it, but give vapers the choice. Because Joe Blogs on the street who decides, oh, I want to give those e-cigs a go, he ain't got a clue what sub-ohm's all about. Give them a choice. Give everyone the choice. If people like Lal like to mouth to lung, let her do that. Give her a coil that fits in these tanks. It may not be perfect, but
yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I do wonder, is there any innovation left really in the mouth to lung field? I don't know. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, as far as rebuildables go, the pinnacle of the mouth to lung, as far as I am concerned, is the K-Fun. You get a superb flavour off it. You get good vapour production, but you get the ideal draw, I find, for mouth to lung, and that's what I was using for a long time. When I first got my K-Fun, I was using that for a good couple of years, until the sub-tanks come along, and then I really got into the whole direct to lung thing. But Sav, I know you're not particularly keen on the rebuildable aspect, are you? So that's not really for you.
No.
In
Just
fact,
no. No.
didn't you attempt a K-Fun a couple of times and you just never got on with it?
The last thing I rebuilt was I followed a tutorial you did for something, and I set it on fire. So
I'm not sure whether that's a good kind of review of your review there, Matt.
I'm not entirely sure she followed the right tutorial because I did actually do a VT once where I purposely set stuff on fire.
I don't think I was following that one.
Did you follow the one that was done by the professional vapor?
Well,
hang on.
I feel like I might have done.
Which professional vapor is that? The one with the towel?
No. That's the other one.
Oh, the other one.
It's just for professional vapor. Professional vapor.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I was asked today, funnily enough, about coiling, and I remember the last thing that I coiled successfully was the original Scrape, and I ordered a Scrape V2. I ordered loads of wire, cotton, all sorts. I ordered coily pen things, and they all arrived. And I remember opening the bags and just going, nope. And they're still in the bags to this day. I just know that. No.
It's as I was saying to you before the show, actually, Sav. I mean, I was sitting there recording the Indestructible. Sav and I were chatting before the show, and I happened to say to her, "I'm doing this coiling. I really don't particularly enjoy coiling quite so much these days." Well, that's probably the wrong choice of words. I probably would enjoy it more if I had the time to sit and really dedicate to it. But work is generally most of my time up. If not, I'm doing stuff like this. Which is kind of weird because later on you'll see me starting off a coiling tutorial, but don't let that put you off. So generally, by and large, I will go and pick up something like a Crown and just whack a coil in it, a pre-built coil, and away I go, and I'm happy. So I think there's less of a need these days to recoil. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's where the innovation from mouth to I'm bringing it around. Where the innovation from mouth to lung should be. Something like the K-Fun, that sort of quality, but consistently good with the coils as well. And if there's something out there like that, then please let me know, because or let us know, because I'm sure we'd be very interested in having a look at one. Really, what say you to that?
Couldn't agree more. I mean, mouth to lung is nowhere near as satisfying to me as direct to lung, but there is a huge place for it in the market, and I don't want to see those people in that bit just being forgotten.
Marco, have you got any thoughts to add? I mean, what do you prefer to use these days?
Well, as you can see by what I've got in front of me, I have got a Sigali 150 with a quad coil TFV4. I've got the Roleo with a RBA TFV4, and then strange enough I've got another TFV4 which is RBA on the RDNA 40, and I'm kind of using these at the moment, my 3 at the moment, but I still like the TFV4, the Subtank, and the Crown are my devices that I'm using. The Crown I'm not bothering too much with the recoiling because it's just too fiddly. But the TFV4 is fine, and the Limo 2 as well. I still love the Limo 2. And occasionally what I'll do is I'll get them all together, clean them up, put them in the ultrasonic, dry them off, and then just do a mass coiling, because I still quite like coiling. So yes, in fact I use these devices for the next VT, which you're going to be showing.
Oh, should we do a seamless link there, shall we? Okay then.
Hello. As you've just heard in the studio, I am today looking at a few juices, and they are all from this place, Doozy Vape Co. And today I have the Liquid Gold, the Greek Delight, and the Fruit Punch. There you go. Now, these are all 12 milligram juices, and they are labelled up nicely. They've got the child resistant cap. They're all dropper bottles. and these are 30mm balls. So I've actually got the entire range. There's 8 in the range, but today I'm looking at these 3. And what I have is on a TFV4 on the rouleau, with a RBA, I have a liquid gold. On the Sigeli 150 watt, on another TFV4, but with the 4 coil atomizer, brand new one, I have the Greek Delight. And in my Doge Competition V2 dripper, on my trusty battered RDA 40, I have the Fruit Punch. They're all as is, apart from this one, which is the Greek Delight. I have watered it down somewhat, so it's gone from 12mg to 7mg, just because I'm doing a lot of it at the minute, so I thought I'd just go down a bit. I wish now actually that I'd gone down and just got 6mg or 3mg for the tasting, as opposed to the 12mg, because it fair hits when you're doing long inhales. Gone are the days where I could do 24mg long inhales. I can't do that anymore. So really 3 or 6 I should have gone for. But there you go. We'll get an idea of the flavours. I've been using them now for about 2 weeks on different devices, and then I've picked these 3 devices, and they've all got new build coils in. So the RBA is newly coiled. That's a brand new quad coil in the TFV4, and they've also dual coiled with Canthal, the Doge V2 dripper, which is currently set at 40 watts. So yes, so let's go in first, and we'll go to the liquid gold, this one, and the description on the bottle is thus. It says pastry with custard and cream. Now, I'm not generally one for custard juices. I'm not generally one for tobacco juices. However, as you know, I'll vape just about anything, and for me to bring you information on juices, we have to vape on anything that we get hold of. So here we go. This is the liquid gold on the rouleau, and I've got this at 20 watts. It's quite low wattage wise because it's 12mg, but there you go. Let's give it a little toke. And it produces quite well. It hits the back of your throat quite harshly, this 12mg, I have to say. And that's just because I've been used to vaping at 3 and 6. So the higher you go, you're getting that throat hit back. But it's not a bad throat hit, as things go. The flavour wise, I'm getting the creaminess. And maybe at the top end I'm getting some pastry, a bit like an egg custard tart kind of flavour. Yeah. And whiteout. It is rather moreish, I have to say. I would like to try this at the lower strength to see what it's like. I think loads of vapour. See what it's like. But yes, not a bad vape at all, I have to say. Not bad at all. That was the liquid gold. Now let me look on the website and just see. So I've got the web page up, and I'll just see if there's any more information about that we can look at. Now all these juices are available in 10ml or 30ml. The 10ml is 50-50 PG and VG, and the 30ml is high VG. And you can go from 0 to 12mg on all these juices. Now, I know where these are made because I've spoken to Imran at Doozy Vape, and they're made by a company in Manchester, which I'm hoping to go and visit shortly. so we can see these juices being made, and possibly some other ones as well. I'm still in talks there, but we'll see what we can do over the next few weeks. Let's move on to the fruit punch, and I'll just get the description up on the website. The fruit punch, again, it's 50-50 and high VG, so 10 mils is 50-50 and 30 mils is high VG. And it says a fruity mix of peach, strawberry and watermelon. Yes. Now then, I've already dripped some on here, and like I said, I've dual coiled this with Kanthal wire as opposed to Ni200, so it's not under temperature control. I thought I'd give it some difference, some variations between the devices and the coils and the juices, and see where we are. So this is currently set at 40 watts. You can really get the sweetness from the top end, and the primary taste I'm getting is strawberry. But as I smell afterwards, you can kind of pick up peach as well. Interesting. Smelling it, it smells more of peach than strawberry. Yeah. Let's give it another toke, and I might just drip some more on. Yeah, definitely picking up the peach. Let me just add some more onto the dripper. So there you go, I've just dripped some more onto this. So it's well soaked. Yes, so I'll give it another go. I've got the airflow all the way on full on this Doge V2. And I got a bit of spit back then, even though there's a little guard on the Doge, and it was hot. Yeah, it really is. It's the peach and strawberry that's coming through there. I'm not really getting any watermelon, but it's a nice fruity vape. Not bad at all. Yes, not bad. Might be a bit sickly for some people, I have to say. It is a very sweet vape. So the Greek Delight is a buttery dessert with vanilla and cream, and it's based on a Greek dessert, which I can't really pronounce because I don't really pronounce Greek very well. But maybe Dimitri will be able to enlighten us as to what this dessert is supposed to taste like. I shall ask him. I'll send him a message and ask him, and I'll fill you in on what he says if he comes back to me in time. Yeah, so buttery dessert with vanilla and cream. Another creamy one. And like I said, this one I have diluted down a little bit into this bottle with some VG, and it's just plain VG that's been mixed down by 20% with some distilled water, just to even it out a little bit, even the viscosity out a little bit. And this is on the TFV4 with a quad coil, brand new one, which I put in this morning, gave it all a clean and put a new one in. Actually, it's my last coil that I've got for the TFV4s. I've used them all now. So I've just got the RBAs. But anyway, here you go. This is currently at 42 joules. Yes, on the Segeli 150. So we'll give this a blast. I've got the airflow up all the way on this, but not at the top. I don't tend to use the top airflow on the TFVs, just the bottom airflow. But that's just me. And that's possibly a little bit low, so I'm going to turn this up to 50 joules. I wish they'd make their mind up whether they're going to use joules or watts, to be fair, because you have to work out what joules are and everything else, and it's just a bit of a pain, isn't it, really? But there you go. Now 50 joules. Now I have to say, diluting this down to about 7 milligram definitely helps with the throat tip. Like I said, all these are 12 apart from this one that I've diluted down. And I like this one the most so far. It's getting cloudy in here. Yes, I like this one the most so far. I'm trying to really think of what the taste. It is kind of a buttery, creamy, dessert type taste, which is what they're saying it is. I'm getting all those things. For some reason I was thinking yogurt, but yogurt will be quite acidic, so it's not that. But it is. It's rather pleasant. And as you can see, it fair produces. Obviously, this is a higher VG because I've mixed more VG in it, so it is going to be less of a throat hit and more vapour, because that's the difference between PG and VG, as you know. Or if you don't know, PG gives you your throat hit, VG gives you your chunky vapour. So if you've got a high VG, you're going to get plumes. If you've got a high PG, you're not going to get as much, and you're going to get a nice throat hit in the back of your throat, which, you know, some people like. But yes, I like this one. Yes, nice. So out of the three that I've tried this afternoon, it has to be in first position the Greek Delight, in second position the Liquid Gold, and in third position the Fruit Punch. It's a little bit too sickly, and you know, I do like a sweet vape and I do like a fruity vape, but it is very sickly to me, obviously. Now don't forget, when we look at juices, it's from our perspective. It's very much our taste, and although I've rated these three juices 1 to 3, it's my own preference. You might buy these juices and you might like all of them. You might like one better than the other. You might like them in a different order to what I've put them in, or you might really hate them. That's the thing about e-liquids and people, because we are all different and we have different tastes, different likes and different dislikes. You know, I like a rare steak. You might not even want a rare steak on your plate. I like a nice malt whiskey, but you might really hate whiskey, as I did when I was younger. It was only as I've got older that I've learned to appreciate a good malt whiskey. So it really is a subjective thing. So although we can say that we like something or don't like something, you might try it and feel the opposite way. So there you go. So those are the three juices from Doozy Vape. I've got another 5 to look at, which I'll look at in the coming weeks. Feel free to ask any questions if you have any. And until then, it's back to the studio. Ta-ta for now.
There we are. That was a very Marco showing off his excellent juice tasting skills. So
Marvellous.
Yes, yes. You particularly enjoyed those, did you?
Like I said in the VT, the three that I was using on that particular bit of VT were the Greek Delight, that one, and then the Fruit Punch, which was that one, and the Liquid Gold, which was that one. And I have to say, I'm not vibing much at all on the Fruit Punch. It's a bit too sickly for me, and
Yeah.
that's saying something for me, because I like sickly stuff, but it's a little bit too sickly for me. However, the Greek Delight I'm liking a lot, I have to say.
What's that Greek pudding it's based on again? What's it called?
Well, according to Liana, who's typed into chat, it's a Gala Baraka, something like that. And I did ask Dimitris in our Skype chat, had he tried this dessert, and he said yes, it's lovely and creamy and delicious. So having not tried it myself, I can't tell you if the juice has any kind of taste relation to that particular dessert, which does look, I've seen pictures of it, and it does look really nice. But the juice itself, I've been using now since I recorded that VT. I tried them all beforehand for a few days, on and off, over 2 weeks. And then I've been on using this quite a lot of the time, as I have the Liquid Gold. So both of those are nice, but my preference at the moment is the Liquid Gold, not the Liquid Gold, the Greek Delight. I do have at the minute in the Rollo, I've refilled that recently with another one, which is a banoffee twist. So I shall bring you the other 5 at some point. I'll need to clean everything up and recoil and all that kind of stuff, so I don't mix the flavours, so I can give a decent analysis.
Right.
Yes, rather impressed so far.
So, seamless link coming up. You're forewarned. So now Marco has tasted some juice. Now we need to look at how to build a device in order to taste the juice. How's that? Any good?
Not bad.
Yeah, lovely. Hello. So we've recently been asked, could we provide a coiling tutorial? So what you're going to be seeing, and this might well be a 2-parter, it might even be a 3-parter. There's a lot to cover. But basically what I'm going to be doing is talking you through types of wire, types of wicking material, and types of deck. And eventually we're going to end up building an RDA section for a sub-tank, or in this case a top tank. It's the same thing, whatever. Now, this is not all-inclusive. This doesn't cover everything. This is more geared to a beginner. So you more advanced users out there, you may get nothing out of this. If you're more of a beginner user who wants to get into coils, this might be for you. I don't cover things like silica wick because it doesn't really get used anymore. It's not popular. I mean, I still use it on occasion, but I figure let's keep it simple. Let's go for cotton. Let's go for a popular RDA, a popular RBA section for a tank, and let's have a look at a couple of types of dripping decks. So keep in mind, this is geared more at a beginner user. It's not geared for the advanced seasoned vapor who's been building coils for ages. But you might get something out of it, you might not. But that's enough of me waffling. This is the last thing you're going to see me for a while. It's going to be my hands and close-up stuff from now on. So enjoy. The first order of business then would be tools. Now, something like this, which I picked up, let's put it the right way up, which I picked up from a very popular 100 pence shop. Something like this is going to cover most of what you're going to need in order for, you know, your screwdriver bits. It's cheap and cheerful, but it gets the job done. So that's the first thing I would suggest to do, rather than using something like this that gets supplied in pretty much everything. Frankly, these are crap. They will do in a pinch, but you just haven't got enough grip in order to provide a decent level of torque, you know, to really shore down your coils. So the next thing then, something like some nail clippers. You know, these little ones that got a nice smiley face. That's just nice. Some nail clippers are very handy for clipping wires and things. Also, you might find some mileage in some small side cutters. These are actually for nails, I believe. I can't remember where I got these from. Actually, they might come with a soldering set. I don't know, but something like this. These are great because what you can do, you can get really close to a post and snip down where you might not be able to get a set of nail clippers in. But you know, nail clippers are available everywhere. They're easy to get hold of. You will need things like investing in addition to, you know, this set here, which you can just keep everything in. Invest yourself in a fairly reasonable set of screwdrivers as well. Not only are they good for, you know, ones with a free spinning bit at the back here, so you can put that in the palm of your hand and spin. Simply because not only are they good for tightening up screws and what have you, they're excellent on camera, Matt. They're excellent ways of actually wrapping wire. Okay. What else? I've got a small set of nail scissors here. Great for trimming cotton and things. I have a larger set as well. Okay. What else? Oh yes, coiling jigs. Coiling jigs are quite handy. They certainly make life a little bit easier. I've got a set of 2 here. You can get various different sizes. You can get various different kits. They are very handy. They are limited in the sense that really you don't want to use them for temperature control builds, but I might cover that anyway. Other materials you will need is some sort of wicking material. Now, I will use either cellular cotton. This stuff is available dirt cheap. I think I paid somewhere along the lines of about £5 for this almighty grape. So the box is so big that I can't actually show you on the camera. Smaller packets of Japanese cotton, the stuff with the little black seeds in. That's also good as well, and you'll generally find that most RDA devices will come with a little packet of cotton or what have you. So yeah, you've got some options there. Okay, so the next thing we need to concern ourselves with is wire. Now, there's various different types of wire. So I'm going to show these as they come. I have them piled up. This is Ni200 wire. Now, this is used for temperature control builds, and this is the hard drawn variety, which means it's a bit more springy. It's not as soft. It doesn't bend when you look at it. Okay, so that's that one. We have here some SS316L stainless steel wire. Now, you can use stainless steel wire in either a temperature controlled or just a straight wattage or voltage build. This is quite springy. It's quite a tough wire. It's very good for say a lower ohm builds, and you need robustness in your coils. That's pretty good. Here we have some straight canfol. There we are, and you can see it's spooling out everywhere. Canfol itself it's the general universal standard for coils these days, where pretty much any coil that's not temperature controlled is likely to be canfol. Okay, it's fairly springy, it's easy to work with, and it's pretty durable, which is pretty much why it's so popular. Here is some titanium wire. Again, titanium wire, much like stainless steel, you can get away with using it as not temperature control, but I'd really rather wouldn't. But I have known some people to actually just use titanium wire on a non-temperature control build. I would strongly suggest to keep it on temperature control. Let's talk about different types of deck. Now, I've got a variety here to show you. This is not going to be conclusive, but it will do to get started with. So this, excuse the fog, I've been vaping every now and again. This is pretty much the traditional style of deck these days. This is from a sub-tank, the rebuildable section thereof. It's a two-post design. It's designed purely for single coil use. Pretty straightforward, and this is what I'll be demonstrating a build on as it happens. Straightforward to use. You literally just wrap a coil, place it between the two, and shore up the legs under these two screws. It's as simple as it can be, and it's it's straightforward, and it's a good way to learn coiling on something like this. Next up, we've got more standard deck on a dripper. So this is a pretty much standard 3-pin or 3-post design. Now you will notice here that the left and right posts are slotted, while the center one is a circle. Not entirely sure why that is. Maybe it's just simpler to actually build that way. But on a 3-post design, that's classically designed for 2 coils. You can, depending on the actual mod, the atomizer itself, you can get away with a single coil, but that's down to the way the airflow works, which is out of scope for this. However, what you do is you place one coil positive leg in the center, and then the other positive leg, the negative leg, silly map. So positive, negative, yeah? So you basically put a coil between these two, and then what you do is you flip it round, and then do the same again. So positive, negative, okay? So what that means is you end up with a coil here and here. Okay, that's generally how this works. So in all cases, the center post is going to be for your positive, the outer posts are going to be for your negative connection. And finally, we have a more recent type of deck, and this is known as the Velocity style deck. So named because the Velocity dripper was, I believe, the first one to come up with this particular design. Now, these are a lot easier to build on. It's kind of similar to the first deck I showed you, except it's, well, I'll just talk you through it. What you do is you have here, you have positive negative or negative positive. It doesn't really matter. Either way is good, right? I suppose in actual technical terms, this one here will actually be the positive, because this is the one that goes directly down to the center pin there. Okay, but in practice it doesn't really make any difference, but you'll see that this one is isolated. You can see some insulation material around there, so it's not actually touching the rest of the metal body here. So what you do is you build a coil, and for reasons that will become pretty clear shortly, let's put this the right way up. I'll keep forgetting it's the wrong way around to what I'm looking at. Right, what you do is you put one coil across here, you flip it round, and you put the other coil across here. Now the way legs, when you wrap a coil, you'll have one leg that's, say, there, and one leg that's, say, there. What this design of deck means is you can keep your coils pretty much straight. There's none of this sort of slanting across from one hole to the other. But when we actually come to wrapping a coil, we'll experience that. So yeah, these are accelerating in popularity, and for good reason. They are very simple to build on, and I keep drifting over there, don't I? And you know, it's a good design. It's a very, very good design indeed. Now then that I've described the types of wires and decks available to you in wiki materials, what we need to do is to consider what we're going to build. So the first thing you need to take into account is the capabilities of the device that you're going to put your atomizer on. Now, you might be putting your atomizer on a DNA 200, you might be putting it on a DNA 40, you might be putting it on an SX board, you might be putting it on a straight mechanical, you might be putting it on an EVIC, you might be putting it on an iStick. You know, this is kind of, I can't really guide you on this bit. However, the thing to do is to research what your device can and cannot do. There's no point in building a coil that is not going to fire. There is no point in building a coil which is inherently unsafe. So in the case of, for example, you're building a coil to go onto a straight mechanical mod, you need to know what that battery you intend to put in that mod can do. I would advise that you ignore batteries that say they've got a, let's say for the sake of an arbitrary number, a 40 amp pulse rating, right? What you're interested in is the continuous rating. Ignore the pulse thing. You just want the continuous. So say, for example, you've got a battery that says it's a 20 amp continuous rating. That is the maximum you want to go for. So the first thing you need to look at, and this website, Steam Engine, it's a great little toolbox. Okay, so the first thing you want to be looking at is the Ohm's law. So what is, say for example, you've got you intend to wrap a coil that is, let's say, 0.5 ohms. Okay, you want to put it on a straight mechanical mod. Now, a straight mechanical mod is a bit tricky in the sense that if you've got a fully charged 18650, the output voltage initially is going to be 4.2 volts, which, if we look at this Ohm's law calculator here, we can see that that would produce 8.4 amps, and at 35.28 watts. Okay, so we can see the wattage here, we can see the ampage here, and there's a voltage there. But when you drop down to, let's say 3.7, which is your nominal operating voltage for an 18650, is where it spends most of its life, you will actually then be drawing 7.4 amps, and we will be vaping at a wattage of 27.38. I mean, this is particularly important for people that are building on a straight mechanical. So if we're going to drop the resistance down even further, and the lowest that this Ohm's law calculator will go is 0.1, and we're keeping it at 3.7 volts, we are then drawing 37 amps, and we are vaping at 136, well, let's just say 137 watts, okay, because that 0.1 watt makes no difference at all. So as you can see, on a straight mech, 0.1 ohm isn't particularly a good idea, especially if it's fully charged 18650. You're going to be drawing 42 amps through that cell. Okay, I'm not going to go into it too much. I mean, what these numbers here, these are just calculations. You're never going to get from a straight mechanical 176.4 watts out of it at 0.1, because there's other factors in play here as well, but that is way beyond the scope of what I'm doing here right now. So let's keep that in mind there. You know, on say a DNA 200 mod or any other regulated variable wattage mod, this isn't as important, because what the benefit of the regulated device does is it will go, say let's go back to our 0.5 ohm again, and we want to vape at, let's say 40 watts. Okay, what the regulated mod will do, it will then provide that coil 4.47 volts in order to reach that target of 40 watts. Okay, so if we was going to go up to I don't know, 60.5, there we are, it will then be providing 5.5 volts. You get the idea. There's other stuff on here as well as battery drains, and there's all sorts of things you can do. I'm not going to go through all this, but please explore this website. It's great. You got stuff here for unregulated or mechanical, and you got stuff for regulated. Coil wrapping is where we want to be focusing our time. So let's stick with our, and I apologise, but you're not seeing me right now, but all the wire I've just put out. But I've selected from our little stack here some 0.3 millimeter canful. Okay, so it is a canful A1, I know that, and it is round. There are other things you can do here. You can have say round twisted parallel, you can have ribbon coil. These are different types, but generally speaking you want round. The diameter of the wire, now this is AWG, this is millimeters. Now in the Americas they prefer the AWG, before it is the American wire gauge, and here in the UK I prefer to use the millimeters. So I know it is 0.3 millimeters, so I'm just going to increase this until that says 0.3. Nearly there. Okay, that says 0.3. I could adjust this for the American wire gauge, but yeah, and that will basically come, so if you go say 23, that's quite a common one, 23 AWG would work out at 0.573 millimeters, but I want 0.3. okay, now that's just corrected itself. I'm going to go for a single coil, and the target resistance I want, let's go for 0.5. okay, now the inside diameter of this coil is an interesting one. Let's say I would be using this coiling rig. Now this coiling rig is labelled at CW30, So I would suspect that would mean the inner diameter of the coil would mean 3 millimeters, like so. Length total, which is total length of the resistance wires between coil and contact points, is going to be quite minimal on the build that we're going to do. So let's take that down to about 1 mil. There we are, 1 millimeter. Okay, so now what we've got here is resistance wire length is 24.4 millimeters. So it's saying that I need that amount of wire. The number of wraps is 2.07. Rounded to, say, 2 wraps, or rounded to half wraps, 3. Okay, right. This is where things get a little bit weird for me, because I don't generally actually use this to calculate my coils. So if we were to, because I think anyway a 3 millimeter inner diameter coil might be a bit silly. So if I was to take this down to 2 millimeter inner diameter, just to clarify that this means it's the size of the object you're wrapping your coil around. Okay, I'll demonstrate that in a little bit. Now, this is now telling me I need to do 3 wraps of this 0.3 millimeter wire. Again, I would like to have more wraps because, well, that's a little bit sparse. So the way we do that at this point is we actually make our wire bigger. Okay, so as you can see here, if I was to go for 0.5, now look at this. This is now saying 7 wraps, 7 and a bit. Now the reason it's doing that is because the thicker the wire, the lower the resistance of that wire. Think of it kind of like a hose pipe. If you've got a thinner hose pipe, actually it's probably not a good example, because the water does come out at a faster rate simply because it's rushing through quicker. But let's go with it. So a thicker hose pipe, the water doesn't come out so fast, therefore it's a lazier through. There's less resistance. Okay, this is what I'm trying to get at. So the water can just make its way through easier with less obstacles in its way. If you've got a thinner hose pipe, so for example you're trying to put a tap, you've got a drinking straw connected to a tap, it's going to come out the other end a lot quicker because it's got so much more in the way, it's rushing itself through. This is basically kind of what I'm trying to get at with this point. So, but keep in mind that the thicker the wire, the lower the resistance. Okay, the thinner the wire, the higher the resistance. So thinner wire, higher ohms. Thicker wire, lower ohms. The other thing that is probably worth noting right now is this is for a single coil. If I was to go for dual coil and I wrap them exactly the same, this resistance would be halved. Now I can demonstrate this by going to dual coil. Keep an eye on, well, there we go, let's just watch. There we go. The number of wraps required is pretty much doubled. Because what happens is, having 2 coils doesn't mean you double the resistance, it means you halve it. Okay? So you need to keep that in mind, and when you're doing dual coils, which is what I'm not going to be doing today because I'm just going to do a single coil because frankly I'm lazy, you need to keep them coils as close to identical as you possibly can. Okay. So that's the methodology behind it all, and we'll come back and we'll actually finally do a build. So there we go. Now to make this clear, this coiling series is actually asked for by a viewer. So if you actually do have anything you want us to do, within reason, we actually
within reason,
the voice over my shoulder there. We do kind of go out of our way to do things like this for you guys. Now, Sean O2 has raised quite a valid point actually in chat. He says the problem is new vapors won't look at this too much like hard work. Just go on YouTube and wrap their mech in a towel, holding it with a welding glove and wearing a crash helmet. Yeah, that may be the case. Now,
not if they want to live very long.
Not if they want to live very long. But however,
with all our fingers.
Right, I'm going to get this word and I'm going to insert it edgeways. Right. I'm kind of the hope that at least one person sees this VT and goes, this is how you do it then. Which is why I've taken the lengths to explain things. Now, it might be a bit boring for some of you more experienced vapors out there. Sorry and all, but things like this need explaining at time after time, don't they? So, anyway, part 2 will come on Monday. We're close to time mark, aren't we?
Yes. Yes. At this point, we're normally saying tune in on Thursday to see Dave, Dawn and Keith. But the next show is actually us again on Monday.
Double your pleasure.
Before you talk about your next show and say goodbye and all the other things that people do before they go away, I just want to say that regarding that video, Matt, totally agree with what you said. If that just helps one person, 10 people, a handful of people, it's fantastic, and kudos to you guys for doing that, because I know that that's a lot of work went into that. The 2 videos. So, kudos, guys. It's got to be done.
All right, it has to be, and as far as I'm concerned, if it's worth explaining something like that, you might as well go quite thorough about it. So there we go.
Yes.
Do you want the pleasure, Mark? I normally say good night, don't I? But you can do it tonight.
I'll do it tonight. Well, listen, before we go, Monday we've got some good stuff coming up, and we should have Dimitris Agifiotis in attendance as well, with a bit of new VT that he's going to be passing over to us. So that should be interesting. So until you see us on Monday, happy vaping and peace out.
Ta-ta. You going to say good night, Sav?
Bye-bye.
See you next week.